Two men in fake HOA uniforms showed up at my grandma's door, demanding to inspect her house. But they weren't inspectors at all. They were con men. What they didn't know, my brother was inside. When they tried to shove past Grandma, one ended up flat on the floor and the other went flying through the living room window. Magnolia Creek was one of those quiet, tree-lined neighborhoods that looked picture-perfect from the outside. White fences, neat lawns, and an HOA board that claimed they kept everything in order. But behind the glossy newsletters and ridiculous rules, something darker had been brewing, and my family found out the hard way. It started on a muggy Tuesday afternoon. My grandma, Rosa Delgado, was home alone. At 78, she was as sharp as they came. Sharp tongue, sharp wit, and sharper memory than most people half her age. She was standing by her window, watering her orchids, when a white SUV pulled into her driveway. Two men stepped out, wearing dark blue polos with HOA compliance stitched on the chest. They had clipboards in hand, badges clipped to their belts, and a heavy air of authority. To anyone else, they might have looked official, but Grandma had lived long enough to know when something didn't add up. The taller one knocked hard on the door. "Mrs. Delgado, we're here on behalf of the HOA. We need to perform a property inspection." Grandma raised an eyebrow. "At 5 in the evening, without notice?" The shorter one smirked. "Rules have changed. New emergency bylaws. Let us in." Grandma gripped her cane, standing firm in the doorway. "You can stand out there and read me whatever bylaws you want. You're not stepping foot inside my house." But instead of backing off, the taller one pressed forward, using his shoulder to nudge the door. And that was when fate intervened. Because my older brother Gabriel had come home early from his shift. He was upstairs changing out of his mechanic's uniform when he heard the raised voices. By the time he bounded down the stairs, Grandma was backed against the wall, clutching her cane, and the two fake officers were halfway inside. Gabriel didn't hesitate. He grabbed the taller man by the collar, yanked him back into the foyer, and slammed him against the wall. His clipboard clattered to the floor. "Who the hell do you think you are?" Gabriel snarled. The shorter one tried to bluff. "We're HOA compliance officers, authorized to conduct—" Before he could finish, Gabriel snatched the fake badge off his belt, a flimsy plastic card printed with the word security. No hologram, no seal, nothing. "You're not HOA, you're not cops, you're fakes." The taller man lunged at him. Bad move. Gabriel's right hook connected square with his jaw, sending him sprawling across the floor. The other tried to tackle him from the side, but Gabriel pivoted, using the man's momentum to send him crashing through the living room window. Glass exploded everywhere, spraying onto the front porch as the man landed in the flower bed with a scream. Grandma, instead of panicking, tightened her grip on her cane and barked, "That's what you get for messing with my begonias." Neighbors rushed out, phones already recording. Within minutes, police sirens wailed down the street. The two men, bloodied and humiliated, were dragged into custody. But here's where things took a turn. Because when the real police ran their IDs, it turned out these fake HOA cops weren't just scammers. They were hired muscle, paid by none other than Monica Harrison, the president of our HOA. Apparently, Monica had been furious that Grandma refused to pay bogus lawn violation fees. For 3 months, she had ignored the fake citations Monica shoved under her door. And instead of going through official channels, Monica decided to send a message. Only problem? She underestimated the Delgado family. The next HOA meeting was standing room only. Word had spread fast. Half the neighborhood had watched Gabriel knock one guy cold and send the other flying through the living room window. By the time Monica picked up her glittery pink gavel, the room was buzzing. "Order! Order!" she screeched. "Tonight's meeting is about maintaining community standards. The Delgado family has been targeted, Gabriel cut in, stepping to the front with Grandma at her side. The crowd erupted in murmurs. You sent those men, Monica, and I've got the proof. He pulled out police reports, witness statements, and even a confession from one of the fake enforcers, caught on body cam. Monica's smug smile cracked. You can't prove I— Yes, I can, Gabriel interrupted. Clicking the remote, a video played on the projector. Monica herself, caught on a neighbor's doorbell cam, handing an envelope of cash to the same two thugs. The room gasped. Mrs. Patel, who had been fined $200 for overly vibrant flowers, stood up. She's been abusing her power for years. Mr. Singh slammed his fist on the table. Enough is enough. Let's vote her out tonight. Within minutes, Monica's empire crumbled. The HOA board, under pressure from the entire community, forced her resignation. An audit revealed tens of thousands of dollars misused, fines funneled into Monica's personal travel fund and home renovations. The following week, she was indicted on charges of fraud, harassment, and conspiracy. In Magnolia Creek, it changed overnight. We formed a new board, neighbors who actually cared about fairness, transparent budgets, no more selective enforcement, and most importantly, no intimidation tactics. Grandma became something of a local legend. Kids on bikes called her the grandma who took down the HOA tyrant. News crews showed up. Even the regional paper ran the headline, "Fake HOA cops sent to elderly woman's house, backfire when grandson fights back." 3 weeks later, property values had already jumped. Not because of Monica's heavy-handed rules, but because buyers wanted in on a neighborhood that stood up for itself. And as for Gabriel, he couldn't walk down the street without a neighbor slapping him on the back. Someone even gifted him a t-shirt that said, "One punch, HOA justice." Grandma framed it and hung it above her mantle, right next to her orchids. Because in the end, this wasn't just about fake cops or fines. It was about community standing together, refusing to bow to bullies. And that night, as Gabriel sat beside her, Grandma smiled and said, "Mijo, sometimes the best kind of garden is one where weeds get thrown out the window."